Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Potsmaker's Bible. My name is Zion. I'm the author of the Potsmaker's Bible, which contains the prophetic book of Zion, where I get my name and authority. It comes from the Ketuvim, or Old Testament, of the Christian Bible. I used the King James Version of the Christian Bible in order to put together the prophecy of Israel, which was, which I call the Book of Zion. I call it the Book of Zion because it tells the story of the prophetess Zion, who ascends to the unicorn godhead and changes the world. Her life story is told in the 54th chapter of the book of Isaiah. And lo and behold, that tells my life story. And when I realized that the events of my life were foretold in the prophecy, I had to figure out what that meant. And when I found that, I had already been on a many-year quest to serve God. I was becoming what Dungeons and Dragons lore calls a cleric, a priestess of a god, empowered by that god through sacred knowledge, through prayer, and through service. And through many years, I learned all the necessary knowledge in order to fulfill my pledge to God, which is to end the pain and suffering of others on the planet Earth. Also, I had to learn how to fulfill the prophecy in order to do that which God had assigned me for himself, which is to save life on the planet. I wanted to end pain and suffering, but God said, yes, but in order to do that, you have to save humanity. That's a big charge. That's a lot to take in. Believe me, when I found myself in the prophecy, I couldn't speak for a week. But in order to understand what that meant and how I was to fulfill my quest to save humanity, I had to take apart the Bible, the prophecy part of the Bible, and rearrange it into its proper form, which was something that God asked for in the sacred text. The passage literally says, "Who will put this in order for me?" And I said I would, and so I did, and it became the Book of Zion, which was, in essence, a plan that this person who was representative of Isaiah 54, this woman who becomes Zion, what she was to do in order to become Zion. There was a list of things that she had to do in order to fulfill the quest. And it is a quest. Now, it said, do this way. And if you do all of these things in this way, then these things will happen and your quest will be fulfilled. So that is what I set out to do. And in that process, I had to diverge into many different fields. Because I started out I wanted to end pain and suffering. Well, there's one field right there, healing, psychology. But I had to heal myself, Dianetics. I had to heal myself in order to understand how to heal others. And that's where I started from, was the healing. That was the first order, because I was horrifically devastated by sexual abuse. I had been sexually molested by a dead relative. He's safely on the other side now. He can't be hurt by this. And others cannot be hurt by this too because they're on the other side. Most of the abusers are on the other side where they belong. Um, but that's a different story. Um, I had to learn to heal myself in order to be able to heal others properly. You can't mask your pain with medication. All you can do is kill your soul because you rot it from the inside with all that crap that you contain within yourself and refuse to let out into the world to be healed. So, with a broken mind and a broken spirit, I sought God, and God healed me by walking me through the process of healing step by step, moment by moment, image by image, pain by pain, thought by thought, reaction by reaction. I had to go through the process of healing in order to learn that process so that I could create what I call scream therapy, which heals pain. Now then, I had to understand where pain comes from in order to abolish the pain itself. Now, it's not enough that I could heal myself or help others to find the way to heal themselves, because that's the key. I had to learn why suffering happened so that I could end the cause of suffering, therefore break the cycle of suffering on the planet, to release us all from the eternal cycle of suffering, which is karma. So, I had to learn about that. I had to learn what makes suffering so that I could end that causing of suffering and therefore free us of suffering. And only then would my quest be complete. Now, in this society, the cause of suffering is really easy to see. It's this: money. If we take, it's like money is the foundation of this society. It is also the foundation of our suffering. It is the cause of it. So, if we take money out of the equation, the whole structure of suffering falls apart. Then we all just have the garbage to pick up. We can throw away the crap that causes suffering and heal that which is real. That's a big order. To change the entire social structure of the planet. How do you do that? You do it individually, the same way you heal somebody individually. And I had to figure out how to change people's minds in order to topple the thing that is, which is money. So, I had to go into psychology, and psychology led me to science. And I did it all through the framework of religion, because remember, I was always working for God in all of this. But and it's the Bible itself that was my foundation that led me to what I found. Now, the first place it led me was to religion. It taught me that in order to truly know God, you have to know all of the aspects of God, and those different aspects are contained within different religions. So, my first course of study after the healing was religion, and religion led me to science. And remember, I started this whole framework with fantasy. In my last episode, or in one of my prior episodes, I say that religion plus fantasy equals science. It's belief plus imagination that equals the means to implement them, the doing of things, which is science. And so I put this principle into action in all the aspects of my life, letting the foundation of the prophecy of Israel dictate my courses of study. And it went something like this: self-realization, Dianetics, psychology, self-healing, religion, the search for the soul, the Godhead, the unity of all religious thought, canceling out all human concepts, purifying religion into a single united body of knowledge called the Word of God, which I had 1,500 pages of notes for this book at one time, but it was lost. So I have to start over again. Now, when I was researching this body of knowledge contained within the sacred texts of all religious doctrines on earth, the Word of God, there was this particular chapter that was called the Technologies of God, which led me to ancient aliens and science. So I went from fantasy to self-actualization to religious philosophy to science. The way that God works. And at this point, I met up with quantum physics, which brought me full circle back to fantasy. Because quantum physics is the actualization of intent and desire, which is magic. And this cycle of divine knowledge, if you will, that begins with imagination and brings you full circle back to actualizing the imagined. Listen to the bell whistles. This is the quantum moment when you realize that all things are connected, and that in order to operate your life properly, you have to do the impossible. You have to take your fantasy, make it believable, and put it into practice. So let's flip our equation from that episode that I talked about at first, where it was religion, fantasy, and science. Let's go fantasy, religion, and science. Fantasy is what you believe, or fantasy is what you imagine. Religion is what you believe, and science is what you do. And that parallels my unicorn way, which is thought, word, and deed. You think your thought first, then you speak your word, and then you follow through with what you do. The threefold way, where you actualize your singularity and you involve yourself in the process of ascension. First, you decide. You decide you're going to seek knowledge, because knowledge is the first requirement of the implementation of knowledge. You have to know something before you can implement it. So you go on a quest for knowledge. Self-knowledge first, because all things begin with the I. And anytime you push the I out, you separate yourself from reality. And I was like really bad at that for a very long time. I had to find my way back to myself, to the actualization of me. I had to become worthy I had to find myself worthy of life first. And once I found myself worthy of life, then I found my cause. And once I found my cause, I found my way. It's a process. May the Great watch over you, guide you, protect you, keep you from all harm, and teach you right from wrong. May you be the unicorn. I love you later. Never say goodbye.